यशोदानन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जयो राधा वल्लभ श्री राधे जयो जगन्नाथा बलदेवा जयो सुभद्रा जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद निताय गौरा हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल जयम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to His Divine Grace. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatiruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you for today's discussion of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. We are reading from Canto 9, Chapter 14, titled as King Pururava, enchanted by Urvashi. And we are reading from verse number 39. Is yesterday's month? Okay, we're reading from verse 40. Antarvatnim upalakshya Devim prayayau purim prayayau Devim prayayau purim Punastatra gato bdante Urvashim viramataram Antarvatnim upalakshya Devim sa prayayau purim Punastatra gato bdante Urvashim viramataram Antarvatnim upalakshya Devim sa prayayau purim Punastatra gato bdante Urvashim viramataram. Punastatra gato bdante Urvashim Veeramataram Antarvatnim Upalakshya Devim Sa Prayayau Purim Mataji. Antarvatnim Upalakshya Devim Sa Prayayau Purim Urvashim Veeramataram. What to? Antarvatnim Upalakshya Devim Sa Prayayau Purim Punastatra Gato Dante Urvashim Veeramataram. Word to word. Antarvatnim, pregnant. Upalakshya, by observing. Devim, Urvashi. Saha, he, King Pururava. Prayayau, returned. Purim, to his palace. Punaha, again. Tatra, at that very spot. Gataha, went. Abda ante, at the end of the year. Urvashim, Urvashi. Veera Mataram, the mother of one Kshatriya son. Translation. Understanding that Urvashi was pregnant, Pururava returned to his palace. At the end of the year, there at Kurukshetra, he again obtained the association of Urvashi, who was then the mother of a heroic son. There are no purports, so I'll read up to 43. Upalabhya muda yukta samuvasataya nisham athainam urvashi praha kripanam virahaturam. Having regained Urvashi at the end of the year, King Pururava was most jubilant, and he enjoyed her company in sex for one night. But then he was very sorry at the thought of separation from her. So Urvashi spoke to him as follows. Gandharvan upadhavemam stubhyam dasyanti mamiti tasya samstuvastastushta Agnisthalim dadurnripa Urvashim manyamanastam so buddhyata charanvane. Urvashi said, my dear king, seek shelter of the Gandharvas, for they will be able to deliver me to you again. In accordance to these words, the king satisfied the Gandharvas by prayers, and the Gandharvas, being pleased with him, gave him an Agnisthali girl who looked exactly like Urvashi. Thinking that the girl was Urvashi, the king began walking with her in the forest. But later he could understand that she was not Urvashi, but Agnisthali. There's a small purport. I would like to read this and then the next one as well. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura remarks that Pururava was very lusty. Immediately after getting the Agnisthali girl, he wanted to have sex with her. But during sexual intercourse, he could understand that the girl was Agnisthali, not Urvashi. This indicates that every man attached to a particular woman knows the particular characteristics of that woman during sex life. Thus, Pururava understood during sexual intercourse that the Agnisthali girl was not Urvashi. Text 43. Sthalim nyasavane gatva grihan adhyayato nishi tretayam sampravrittayam manasitrai avartata. Translation. King Pururava then left Agnisthali in the forest and returned home, where he meditated all night upon Urvashi. In the course of his meditation, the Treta millennium began, and therefore the principles of the three Vedas, including the process of performing yagna to fulfill fruitive activities, appeared within his heart. Purport. It is said, Tretayam yajato makhaihi. In the Treta Yuga, if one performed yagnas, he would get the results of those yagnas. By performing Vishnu yagna specifically, one could even achieve the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, yagna is intended to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. While Pururava was meditating upon Urvashi, the Treta Yuga began. And therefore, the Vedic yagnas were revealed in his heart. But Pururava was a materialistic man, especially interested in enjoying the senses. Yagnas for enjoyment of the senses are called karma-kandiya yagnas. Therefore, he decided to perform karma-kandiya yagnas to fulfill his lusty desires. In other words, karma-kandiya yagnas are meant for sensuous persons, whereas yagna should be actually performed to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To please the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Kali Yuga, the Sankirtana yagna is recommended. Yagnai Sankirtana prayair yajantihi sumedhashah. Only those who are intelligent take to Sankirtana yagna to fulfill all their desires, material and spiritual. Whereas those who are lusty for sense enjoyment perform karma-kandiya yagnas. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishna Vamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yam Pravrajantam Anupetam Krityam Dvaipayana Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tanmayataya Tarabobhinedu Stham Sarva Bhuta Hridayam Munimanatosmi. Hare Krishna. So, we are continuing the incident of Pururava with Urvashi. And this section was quite heavy, so I just thought 43 is nice because it brings out the Sankirtan Yagna. Before we go into the context, I was just pondering on the thought of the potential effect of studying Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. In the beginning canto, Vyasadeva writes, Yaya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunatmakam paropi manute nartham tatkritam chabhipadyate. Vyasadeva writes that jivas, like living entities, they are a part and parcel of the Lord. But despite being spirit, what happens to them? Why are they not Krishna conscious? Or why do they get deluded as soon as they enter the material consciousness? That is what Vyasadeva is writing. Yaya sammohita jiva. It is not mohita. Mohita means bewildered. Sammohita, completely bewildered. Atmanam trigunatmakam. Because of the three modes of material nature, he gets bewildered. Therefore, although he is transcendental and spirit soul by nature, he does not have a proclivity towards Krishna consciousness or towards accepting Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, why does it happen? This is what Vyasadeva laments. And then we see, if we observe, he also says in the Tattva Sandarbha that there is inherent potential in the jiva to know Bhagavan, to know the Lord. There is an inherent potential. It is there in every one of us. How is that? Because if we see, there is a verse which says, Jiver hoye nitya Krishna das, we say. We are all always servants of Krishna. The attitude of servitude is there in every jiva actually. The potential is there. So therefore, how does this potential manifest in a jiva who is not Krishna conscious? How does it manifest? It manifests as servant of the senses. Because the jiva is either serving the senses, or serving his family, or serving his country, or serving the expansions of his family, or serving the expansions of his body. So in some form of the other, the potential of Krishna Dasa is manifested, but it's manifested in a perverted fashion. That's the point. But the potential is there. But you see, the potential can be seen that he is serving. We see out there in the streets, in the Albert Park, we see they take out dogs for walk. And then when the dog finishes off, and then they pick up the leftover of the dog and then throw it in the bin. So they are serving the dog, actually. But they think they are the owners of the dog. So the potential of service is there. So therefore, even in the conditioned existence, the potential gets manifested. And if one has the yogyata to observe things, when Prabhupada writes this, rationally when one thinks, they are actually serving, but they are serving their senses. But what happens when the jiva awakens to his original state of consciousness? It is called as actual state of existence. All he does is, hang on, I am serving the senses, but who is the source of these senses? Who is the source of everything that exists in this existence? It is Krishna. So then he reposes the faith into the actual source of existence. Hrishikesha rishikena sevanam bhaktiruchyate. So then when he comes to this actual state of existence, then he becomes aware of his original identity, that I am spirit, I have nothing to do with this material existence. How does he do it? This happens because of the transmutational power of sadhana bhakti. Because when somebody gets into the process of sadhana bhakti, gradually the bhakti reveals his original existence or his existence as spirit, and then it kind of disassociates him with material proclivities. He's still using the same senses, he's still using the same body, but the consciousness is that he's connected to the source. That is the point. Just as a bulb has the potential to light, it has the potential to light, but as long as it's not connected to the source, it cannot light. In the same way, the jiva has a potential to recognize its existence, but as long as it's not connected to the source, it remains in a dormant state. So that's the point. But one has to understand why does the jiva get into this existence of conditioning? Why? Is it Maya who puts us into this existence? Because Maya's existence also is very paradoxical in nature. Because on one end, Maya is forcing us to remain in this material world. Is she? Is it the duty of Maya to always bind us in this material world? Or is it our desire to always stay in this material world? So that is a question to ask. Because Krishna says this, Daivihi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya maya mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Actually, in the Tattva Sandarbha Jiva Goswami writes, the pure existence of her external potency of the Lord is to make us realize Krishna. That is the point. It is not to bind us. It is helping us to make us realize Krishna. Actually, because Krishna says, Daivihi esha, this is my energy. This is my divine energy, Krishna says. But why does Krishna do this? Krishna does this because he wants us to blossom completely in our consciousness and turn towards him. Mam eva ye prapadyante. Mayam etam tarantite. So this is the perspective. That is why he forces us. But one may ask, Prabhu, why does he put us into such difficulties, tribulations? Why does he just not help us, just pick us out of material world and put us in spiritual world, even though we are unwilling? The reason is, the answer to this question can be answered if we know what are we going to do in the spiritual world. What is our duty in the spiritual world? Because as long as we are egocentric, our living in this material world is egocentric, where it is me and my senses. It is all about me, my mind, my intelligence, all about my aham mameti. In the spiritual world, what is the center of attraction there? It's Krishna, it's not me. And Krishna says, in the spiritual world, it is mad chitta, mad gata prana. It is all about me, and there has to be constant interaction with the devotees. And I love to see devotees talking between and discussing with each other about my Harikatha. So, Krishna says, this material world is a testing ground. Unless you do not come to this level of discussing Harikatha, where Kapila Muni says, Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha tajoshanadashva pavarga vartmani shraddharatir bhaktir anukramishyati. Krishna wants us to come to this point. What is that? Satam prasangan. He wants that every living entity develop the affinity to sit among satam, among devotees. Satam prasangan, and then glorify mamavirya samvidaha. Mamavirya, discuss the glorification of the Lord. Bhavanti, then what happens? Bhavanti hrit karna rasayana kataha. It emanates from his heart the beautiful, blissful, rasa-filled pastimes of the Lord. Tad joshanad ashva apavarga vartmani. Then very quickly he develops attraction towards Krishna and spiritual existence. Because that is what we will do in the spiritual world. So if we are not attracted to such a type of living, then what's the point to get into spiritual world? So therefore Krishna says, okay, I'll create a situation where I will create misery, and therefore you can move towards satam, towards the satsanga, and develop this affinity for Krishna Katha. So that is the whole point of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Because his only occupation, Krishna's only occupation in the spiritual world is this, that he relishes pure loving exchanges with his devotees. So as long as we do not come to the point of loving exchanges between devotees, then we will always be caught up in our egocentric existence called the material world. Because the moment we transform our consciousness, then there is no material world at all, actually. Then there is no duality that remains. Aham eva sameva agre nanyat yat sadasat param. Krishna says, there is no material. Rite ritam yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani. So this is the point. So therefore, Vyasadeva compiles the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam to be sung, heard and discussed among devotees. That is the whole point why Bhāgavatam manifests. Because it helps us train to overcome. And therefore, Maya's existence is to train us to get out from here and develop that spiritual consciousness or our original state of existence. Now, getting into today's context of this sections of verses, we saw that Urvashi has given a discount for Pururava. She is agreed to spend one day or one night with Pururava in a year, and now she is pregnant. And then now she says you should go and pray to Gandharvas, and Gandharvas cheat him. Many a times, this is also very important to know. We think, because Devatas, we will see actually, the Devatas are superior to us in many, many aspects, because we are Mritaloka Vasis. We are Mrittiloka. We come from Mrittiloka. They come from Swargaloka or Gandharva Loka, who are higher in terms of their existence and even consciousness. Sometimes in the Bhagavatam, it seems as if they are lusty, it seems as if they are bewildered, it seems as if they are faulty. They are, of course, faulty, but they are not faulty like us. So Gandharva's activities also had an ultimate purpose. It's not that they like to cheat. We have to understand that. Likewise with Indra as well. Indra is not a lusty person as he comes about. He's not a lusty person. He does it on the order of the Lord, because otherwise he would not be the king of the Devatas. So he has a responsibility. Sometimes he has to take a flack of being called lusty, because he does it for a purpose. We have to understand that. This is Darshana Bhasha of the Bhagavatam being manifest, because it seems as if he is lusty, but he is not. Similarly with the Gandharvas, it seems as if they cheated Pururava, but it was not. It was to push him towards what is his original purpose, to realize that, hey, don't get carried away by a lusty desire. That is not your purpose. Wake up. And this happens to them as well. They can also fall to lust. Not that they are beyond lust. Gandharvas are not beyond lust again. We also see in the case of which Gandharva fell down in the first canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. One Gandharva falls down while doing Kirtan. Yes, Upabarhana. Narada Muni as the maid servant, and then the 3 lives before he was Upabarhana, and he falls down. So lust can attack anyone and everyone. So in this context, what has happened now, the Treta Yuga has manifested from Satya Yuga, and then now in the Treta Yuga, the predominating activity is Yagna. So now because he's been able to identify it is not Urvashi. So how lusty he was. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura says he was so lusty that he could identify the body, basically. So he was attracted to the body. You can see that. That this is not the body of Urvashi. He could recognize that during the sexual intercourse he was having, which was quite abominable. Now, then the yagna start manifesting in his heart, and then he starts doing a yagna. And in this verse, Prabhupada writes that he starts doing a karma kandiya yagna. Now, I was thinking maybe we should also ponder a little bit on this aspect of karma kanda. What is karma kanda? Generally, we have seen Prabhupada writes there are 3 sections in the Vedas: karma kanda, jnana kanda, and upasana kanda. And upasana kanda is where you get access to bhakti. But on the other end, we also say to blaspheme Vedic literature is also an offense towards the holy name. So how do we put this together? How do we synchronize this together? We have to understand there is a very subtle difference of how to understand Vedas. One is, Vedas do not provoke us to become karmis. Vedas do not provoke us to become fruitive workers. Because Vedas are transcendental literature. They have nothing to do with fruitive activity. Because Vedas are emanating from the Lord. It is meant for only one purpose: to know the Lord, to worship Him in bhakti. But what happens, Vedas are very tricky. Vedas will reveal to the pursuer with what consciousness he approaches it. If I approach Vedas with Rajoguna, Vedas will only give me what I want to see. So Pururava wanted Urvashi. So he thought, if I do a yagna, I will get back Urvashi. So he's approaching Vedas with lusty desires. So Vedas will say, okay, if you want to fulfill your lusty desires, go and do this. It will not say, do this, then you will fulfill your lusty desires. So I'm making 2 statements here. If you want to fulfill your lusty desires, you can do that. If you do this, you can fulfill your lusty desires. There are two different sentences. You have to focus it. If you really contemplate, it is not that it provokes you to do this. It is that, okay, if you have that, it's okay, you do this. But Vedas also go one step deeper. In fact, there is a pastime where Madhvacharya used to roam around the villages and towns around India, and he used to preach Krishna consciousness everywhere. Many of the Mimamsakas, predominantly where the Karma Kandya Vichar comes from is because of the Mimamsaka, the Uttara Mimamsa and Purva Mimamsikas. They follow a certain darshana, one type of philosophy in the Vedic parlance. They are strong proponents of this Karma Kandya activities. What is that? Doing yagna, chanting mantras, without knowing the ultimate purpose of that yagna. So they saw Madhvacharya and they think, oh, this guy is, he is doing some low-class activity called bhakti. So he doesn't know about the higher echelons of the Vedas. So we are in one sense superior to him. So then they challenge him. What do you know about Vedas? What do you know about the Brahmanas? Because Vedas have 4 sections. Brahmanas, Aranyakas, Samhita and Upanishads. There are 4 sections. So Brahmanas are basically the ritualistic performances. So they challenge him. Do you know about Brahmanas? Then spontaneously Madhvacharya speaks about the Rig Veda and the Yajur Veda and starts explaining to them a meaning which they had never understood before. Very similarly, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu starts explaining the example of Yagna to Chandkazi, he says, Rudhi yogo vina kaschinaivartha vedago bhavet tatrapi yogiko mukhya sarvatrasti saved vaidike. He says, when there is in the Vedas a diktat to please Indra, when there is a diktat in the Vedas to please Agni, Varuna, Chandra, Surya, there are 2 ways to understand it. One is Rudhi Yoga. Rudhi means by practice, by tradition, by common parlance. There are 2 understandings. One is Rudhi. Rudhi Karana means commonly understood. There is one way to commonly understand Vedas as people are understanding commonly. That is Rudhi Karana. Rudhi means, okay, generally this is what people understand. And Madhvacharya says there is another understanding of the Vedas. It is called as Yogiko, the inner meaning of all these Veda actual performances, you have to understand. What is that? Yogartha. Yogartha means, in the Vedas, there is nothing else except worship of the Hari being mentioned. Prabhuji, Acharya, then you're talking of Agni worship, you're talking of Surya, Chandra. He says Agni means the Supreme Lord. Surya means the Supreme Lord. Chandra means the Supreme Lord. Indra means the Supreme Lord. But incidentally, there are Devatas who have that names, that's all. So actually the Vedas are only Harihi Sarvatra Giyate. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes this verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bharate Purane Vedecha Tata Sarvatra Harihi Giyate. Everywhere it is Hari only which is being glorified. But Vedas do not glorify them apparently. They kind of are shrouded. And that is why Bhagavatam was compiled, because it's direct. That's the understanding. So therefore we have to understand, normally, commonly understood, there are Karma Kandya sections, but etymologically they are not Karma Kandya sections. They are also Bhakti sections only as long as the pursuer is approaching them with an intention to worship the Supreme Lord. And that is what Prabhupada writes in the purport if we observe. He says, Prabhupada says that in other words, it says, whereas Yagna should actually be performed to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yagna means the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is why we have to understand. And how do we understand this? To our rescue, Srila Prabhupada comes to give us the ultimate meaning of all Yagna, and of course Sankirtan Yagna. Krishna comes to our rescue by giving us Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and Srila Prabhupada comes to our rescue by revealing the secrets of Kali Yuga Dharma, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu launched 500 years ago. Now, before we go ahead, I was listening to a lecture by Srila Prabhupada that he gave in 1974 or 73 in New York. Prabhupada, he's giving a lecture on chapter 4, chapter 5 and verse 20, I think. Brahmarpanam Brahma Havis. He says, Yagna, generally we think Yagna as fire sacrifice. Is it not? Now, something done for the satisfaction of the Lord according to a regulated method is called yagna. Is it not? Because in the Shruti, in the Vedas, yagna vai Vishnu iti shrutehe. Yagna means a manifestation of Vishnu. We remember, if you all observe, when we do initiation ceremony, we say Krishna has come in the form of a fire and he's accepting the oblations, we say. So it's a manifestation of Vishnu. Yagna means a manifestation of Vishnu. Yagnaihi, by the sacrifice of Sankirtana. Prabhupada also says, Yagnai Sankirtanai prayar yajantihi sumedhashaha. But what is the ultimate meaning of yagna? What is the point of putting a material fire? What is the difference between somebody putting a bonfire and a yagnik fire? What is the difference? Somebody is putting a bonfire, or somebody is putting wood logs to heat themselves in a kunara heater. They've put in some firewoods and they're feeling warm and nice. What is the difference between that fire and a yagnik fire, a fire that has been invoked by the mantras of the Vedas? What is the difference? Actually, there is no difference. There is absolutely no difference. Both are fire. So, the Shastras say, as long as that fire is not invoked to destroy your material desires, your material proclivities, and our anarthas, then that fire is of useless. That fire is of no use. One can go on putting a lot of ghee and wood, but that is just creating some smoke. Otherwise, there is no other use. In fact, Vedas itself decry that Brahmanas do yagnas and inhale the smoke and go to hell. Vedas themselves say this. Why do Vedas say this? Because yagna does not mean creating a fire. Yagna does not mean pouring ghee. Yagna means invoking the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, in the form of a fire. And that is actually yagna. But Prabhupada says, goes one step ahead. Why not invoke the fire of Krishna in your heart through the chanting of the holy names of the Lord? This is called Sankirtana Yagna. When that Sankirtana Yagna goes to that level where the fire of longing for the Lord starts burning, then automatically the proclivities, the material desires, and the resultant karma all gets burnt away, and one develops longing for the Lord. That is the point Prabhupada highlights of how we can see Prabhupada. I was just researching yesterday. There are uncountable or incountable times Prabhupada says, Kali Yuga Dharma is Sankirtana, Kali Yuga Dharma is Sankirtana. So many times Prabhupada writes Sankirtana. You see, he highlights the significance of this. Why? Because in today's day and age, people are not qualified to do Vedic sacrifices. One may say, yes, Prabhu, I have learned Vedas for 15 years, 20 years. But even a slight mistake in pronunciation of a Vedic mantra can yield entirely an opposite result. Of course, it doesn't mean one should sacrifice or one should abandon Vedic sacrifices. There are traditions which continue to practice it. And of course, if you go to Vaishnava paramparas like Sri Vaishnava or Madhva Sampradaya, they will also always chant the Kshama Shloka in the end. In case if I have done a wrong ucharan, please excuse me because I have done this only to please you, my dear Lord. So, but Prabhupada gives us a very simple method that do Sankirtana Yagna. And how old is this Sankirtana Yagna? How old is this? Is this new? Did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu invent a new method? Or Srila Prabhupada invented a new method? No, in fact, in the 7th canto, we see, Prabhupada writes in the purport, there's a verse, Ekada deva satretu gandharva apsaram ganaha upahuta vishva shrigbhir hari gathopagayane. Prabhupada writes in the purport, once there was a Sankirtan festival to glorify the Supreme Lord in an assembly of the demigods. The Gandharvas, the Apsaras were all, and the Prajapatis were all invited for that Harinam Sankirtan. Where? In another world actually. And Prabhupada writes that Sankirtana means chanting the holy name of the Lord. And the Hare Krishna movement is not a new movement as people sometimes mistakenly think. And Prabhupada writes this sentence very interestingly. He says, the Hare Krishna movement is present in every millennium of Lord Brahma's life, and the holy name is chanted in all higher planetary systems, including Brahmaloka, Chandraloka, not to speak of Gandharva Loka and Apsara Loka. So there are devotees everywhere. is it not? So it's beautiful. So how then can we criticize the Devatas? We cannot. We have to be careful when we speak about the Devatas. So, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore did not launch a new movement, but he is relaunching because it sometimes gets lost in this material world. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or his followers like Srila Prabhupada comes and reignites the fire of Sankirtan festival. And also, why it is we are very fortunate, because when I go to the Madhva Sampradaya, sometimes in Udupi, they call us Gandharvas. They call us Gandharvas because when they see us dancing and chanting, they get bewildered. You are all Gandharva Lokavasis. They see, because for them, it's an amazing thing they see us, especially when they see, when Prabhupada brought his white-bodied disciples to India initially 50 years ago, many of the Indians were shocked to see, they must be from Vaikuntha, how they are singing, how much they are in ecstasy. And they were in ecstasy. It's not that they were artificially acting. They were in ecstasy. When we hear Govindam Adi Purusham every day in the morning, it seems as if it was fresh. We are hearing it for the first time. We are hearing it for many decades. Even now when we hear, it is Yamuna Mataji who sung it, isn't it? We feel as if it is fresh. We are hearing it first time now in our life. So why? Because this ecstasy, Nava Rasa, every day it's fresh. And why we are fortunate to be able to do aswad and to relish, to be able to access this, is only and only because of the mercy of Gaurahari, mercy of Sriman Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Acharyas write, no other incarnation of the Lord was heavy with heart to deliver the souls as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is why he is Mahavadanyaya. In fact, he tried to deliver the souls in an unprecedented manner, actually. Because Krishna, when he came, he says, I will annihilate the miscreants. But Mahaprabhu did not even distinguish between miscreants and in fact, more merciful than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Nityananda Prabhu, in fact. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to slaughter the head of Jagai and Madai. But Nityananda Prabhu says, please don't. Let them chant your holy names. So, we are very fortunate to be associated with this movement of Sriman Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. With this, I will just speak a few effects of Harinam Sankirtan. What are the effects? In the Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto, the Nava-Yogendras, in that, one sage, Nava-Yogendras are the sons of Rishabhadev, and 9 sons that he had. One of the sons is Kavi. Kavi is speaking to King Nimi, and he speaks to King Nimi a verse. Evam vratasva priyanama kirtya jatanurago dhruta chitta uchchaihi hasatya thoro ditirauti gayati unmadavanrityati loka bahyaha. He says, Evam vratasva priyanama kritya. What is the effect of chanting the holy name of the Lord? One who is vrata, one who is chanting it diligently like a vrata. Vrata means one who is constantly chanting it, swapriyanam, as if it is very dear to him. Swapriya kirtya, glorifying the Lord. Then what happens? Jata anurago. Anurago means he becomes attached to the names of the sweet names of the Lord. And dhrutachitta vitta uchchaihi, he will start developing strong inclination to chant the holy names of the Lord. And then what happens when he does it like that? Hasati atho roditi, he will sometimes laugh, sometimes cry, sometimes get agitated, and sometimes sing loudly in unmadavat. Unmadavat means as if he is going mad, and he dances and he is unbothered about what other people are thinking about. So he's almost like a madman. This is one effect of someone who is in the pure love of Godhead. This is the verse. This is the effect of Harinam Sankirtan. In fact, the purport, Prabhupada writes a beautiful purport on this to, actually it is the disciples of Prabhupada, because it's the 11th canto. They write a beautiful explanation of how to understand this verse. They also quote Sridhar Goswami's line, Samprapta prema lakshana bhakti yogasya samsara dharmatitam gatim. One who is at this state, then the samsara dharma does not apply to him. He is beyond all this mundane dharmic regulations. One example, whom do we see one example of who is beyond all of this? One devotee who is in Sankirtana, pure love of Godhead? Huh? Nityananda in Bhagavatam? One example? Rishabdev, yeah, but he is the Supreme Lord. One devotee of the Lord? Prahlad, Jadabharat. Jadabharat also was like that. Although he was born to a Brahmana, he was not doing his Gayatri, he was dirty. He purposely did that because he was in a very heightened state of consciousness, always in tune with the Lord. We also see historically the example of Tukaram. Tukaram also was like this, always singing the glories of the Lord. His wife used to chastise him. You don't have any responsibility. He used to say, yeah, I will do. And then he used to. It is not that he used to chant the holy names of the Lord to avoid responsibilities. He used to chant the name of the Lord without being aware of his external existence. That is the point. Sometimes we think, I want to chant the name of the Lord, therefore I don't want to do my duties. That is not what Krishna is telling here. No, that is not Vyasadeva is saying. They are so much engrossed in the activity of chanting that they are not even aware of their responsibility that the time has passed. That is the point. That is the point. It's not that I want to always come to the temple and hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, but at 9 o'clock I would like to go to the first floor and have khichdi. No, not like that. They do not realize that the time has passed. Sometimes they would think, I'm looking at the Lord and time has passed. 3 hours have passed and I'm still looking at Radha Vallabha. This is the state of existence that Bhagavatam is. This is Hasati, Roditi, Rauti Gayati. This is what the state is. Very heightened state of existence. In fact, Mahaprabhu says that when his spiritual master gives him the name Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Mahaprabhu starts chanting this holy name. And then he becomes mad and he comes back to his spiritual master and he says, what have you given me? I'm becoming mad hearing this Hare Krishna mantra. And Ishwara Puri says, this is the Krishna Nama Mahamantrera Yaita Swabhava Yai Jape Tara Krishna Upajaye Bhava. This is the effect of Hare Krishna mantra. So don't worry, it is a natural effect. Continue chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is what was preached by Ishwara Puri to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. With this, I'll talk about 2 points. One is, why is it important to know what is Shuddhanam, what is pure chanting of the holy name, and what is not Shuddhanam? Because if Sankirtana means glorifying and chanting the holy names of the Lord, we all come together and chant or sing the holy names of the Lord. What is the difference between materialistic music and Sankirtana? We have to know that. What is the difference? Because if you see, devotees go to music festivals. There also, Gayati, Roditi, Rauti, Unmaddavan, they are also mad. They are also singing. They are also dancing. They are also mad. They are not conscious externally. Of course, they have taken drugs. But what is the difference of materialistic music and spiritual music? What is the difference between Samkirtanam and Samsara Kirtanam? What is the difference? There is a difference. What is the difference? It is said in the Bhagavad Gita, Yattad agre vishamiva pariname amrutopamam tat sukham satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. Sankirtanam brings us to the mode of goodness. That after doing Sankirtan, one is in a very heightened state of existence. Not artificially, but naturally. Therefore, when somebody is doing Shuddhanam, our natural proclivity towards Krishna comes out. You must have faced this. Sometimes when you are sitting in Kirtan, you feel like crying. You feel like crying. You feel a bliss inside, or sometimes you feel like crying. That is a natural expression of the heart. Because some devotee who is singing, or some devotees who is responding, maybe because of their pure devotion, it reflects on our heart. And although I am not pure, because of their pure devotion which is reflecting on my heart, I start experiencing some bliss. That is why Sankirtan is very effective. Because there are hundreds of devotees sitting and we don't know who is chanting pure names. But when you feel like longing to Krishna, then you know, oh, there is some bliss here. Of course, even a child experiences bliss in Kirtan without knowing the tattva of the Kirtan, is it not? Because you see a child, if you play some music, it will start rocking its body, something like that. So Kirtan is always very pure and it has the potency to purify the heart. But Acharyas warn us, Kirtana must always and always be backed by Shastra, because books are the basis. That is why you see, we do Sankirtan, but you will see book distributors giving books at the same time. So it's both happening at the same time. It's not that we are just going and singing and doing lecherous activities on the streets. No, it has to be together. Books are the basis. It should always be backed by Shastra. Otherwise, it becomes Shuddha Nama. It will never become Shuddha Nama. It will be mundane Nama only. Then longing for Krishna will not come. What will happen? Very similar case, what happened to Upabharana happened. He was also glorifying the Lord, but he fell down. That singing of the Lord was cursed, becoming a curse for him, because he was looking at the female there sitting in the assembly. So therefore the Kirtan, we have to do the Sankirtan based on the scriptures, following in the footsteps of the Acharyas. With this, I will share one very interesting story of Sankirtan. In fact, even our book distribution is called Sankirtan. We call it as monthly Sankirtan festival, because we go and distribute books. Even that is glorifying the Lord. So there was one episode that happened 30 years ago about a devotee in Russia. His name was Akula. Initiated name was Akula. Akula means one who doesn't have a family. Kula means family. Akula means one who doesn't have parentage. Krishna is Akula because he doesn't have parents. One says, he's the Supreme Lord. There is no one behind Krishna. Krishna says, Matta Parataram na Anya. There is no one behind me. I am the last man standing. Therefore, he's Akula. So this devotee, he was a young devotee. His name was Akula. A very fired up warrior. Very fired up. And this story has been, it's an article in Dandavat, so I felt very happy to read it. It was narrated by his companion Gautama Rishi Prabhu, and they both were Sankirtan warriors. On marathon, they used to go out and distribute books. They used to go door to door distribute books in Russia. So they went to an apartment, very quiet apartment, and as they approached this apartment, the babushkas means old. You know what's a babushka, Prabhuji? Old women who were around. They said, don't go to this building. Very dangerous people are there in this building. And Gautama Rishi says, what type of danger? He says, mafia. Mafia people are here. Very, very careful. Don't go here. But they didn't hear. They went and knocked on the door. And in Russia, Akula means what? Akula means a shark. There are submarines by the name Akula. For whatever reason, they call Akula a shark. So these devotees go and knock on the door. Incidentally, it was the door of the mafia. So the guy opens the door and he's having a cigar in his mouth and he's having a machine gun in his hand. It's not AK-47. He's got a 10-foot machine gun. It's a long gun which you can just shoot with the bullets unceasingly. It's a massive gun. And he points it to the tummy of Gautama Rishi. Yes, he says. And then immediately, Gautama Rishi starts praying Narsinghadev. And this person, Akula, he thought this gun to be fake. He thought some guy is playing games with us. He says, hey, I'm Akula. The moment he introduces Akula, the mafia thinks, no mother calls his son as Akula. So this guy must be another mafia, because shark, right? So he's saying, I'm shark. So he thought, oh, he's another mafia. So why are you come here? I want to talk, Akula says. Akula Prabhu says, I want to talk to you guys. Okay, they think another mafia has attacked us. So they say, okay, come in and talk and finish off your business quickly. So Akula gets into the thing and where are all others? Are you alone? Akula is fully fired up, He says, they're all inside, he says. They all go to a room. Everybody's sitting there and there's a photograph. Gautama Rishi takes a photo, and it is in Dandavats, actually. You should go. All are sitting with tight boots and black suits, and they're watching with terrified eyes with this young Sankirtan warrior. And then Akula Prabhu starts, and Gautama Rishi understood, we have come to a wrong place. He was praying to Narsinghadev constantly. Akula Prabhu's first question, by the way, do you all know what is death? And everybody says, oh, he must be from Mafia for sure. And of course, do you also know where will you go after you die? That's how he starts. And then he starts putting his hand inside the bag to take out his Bhagavad Gita. And then immediately Gautama Rishi could hear click sounds because they were loading their guns. Click, 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 click. And then immediately he takes out his book and he opens, typical fashion. He opens Bhagavad Gita and starts showing the pictures. After you die, you will take another body, and he starts talking. The mafia gets a little confused. We thought he was Shark, but he's not Shark. He's someone else. And then Mr. Akula Prabhu starts preaching that, typical Krishna consciousness talk. He says, you have to buy this book. And incidentally, they end up selling 20 books. They buy 20 books. And then he continues to start preaching them. And Gautama Rishi starts holding his shoulder and drags him out of the apartment. And then after coming out, Akula Prabhu gets angry. He says, how dare you interfere in my Sankirtana? You have stopped preaching Krishna consciousness and it's not good, Prabhuji. You are putting hindrances in my preaching of Sankirtan. He says, did you even know they were loading their guns? Guns? He says, what guns? They were having a birthday party. I said, no. Gautama Rishi says, no, you were amongst mafia and they are bad people. Did you not know that? And Akula Prabhu said, no, I did not know that. So he was so fired up to give Krishna consciousness that he did not even know they were. So it was interesting that I'd like to share this story because we are so indebted for devotees, small and big, around the world. Unfortunately, Akula Prabhu left his body in 2010. He met with an accident when he was on Prabhupada marathon with another devotee in a car accident, unfortunately, in Russia. This is in 2010, 15 years ago. So I was just contemplating, so many hundreds of devotees have given up their lives for this, for preaching Krishna consciousness. But at the same time, they were enjoying the bliss of Krishna at all time, places, and circumstances. So this is the bliss of Krishna consciousness. So we are very fortunate to be connected to this movement of Harinam Sankirtan. And anything that glorifies the Lord in any, be it his names, fame, form, pastimes, and the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, it helps us to come closer to Krishna. So I will stop here. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Gaura Bhakta Vrind ki jai. If there are any questions, comments. I was waiting for you. How can we have a Bhagavatam without you? Yes. Yeah, why not? It is the glorification. Any name of the Lord can deliver, is it not? Somebody is chanting Vishnu Sahasranamam. Why not? If somebody is chanting just Krishna, 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 somebody is chanting Varaha, 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 of course, if he is so connected to the Lord, any name of the Lord can deliver, is it not? So, of course, Hare Krishna mantra is because our acharyas have given us that mantra. That mantra is very Swapriyanama. It is our dear mantra to us. But some other sampradaya, they have their own names of the Lord. The Lord has unlimited names. So if somebody is chanting with a lot of love, it will deliver. It is Shuddhanam. So what is important is the consciousness with which he is chanting. Somebody might be chanting Om, and Om is the name of the Lord. Akaros, Om, Akaros. Somebody is chanting Ah. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I will not teach grammar hereafter to anyone. Because the moment somebody starts teaching A, the A, alphabet A, he thinks A means Akarosmi Bhagavan. He says A is the name of the Lord. So it brings me to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go to ecstasy hearing A. Just A. So that is the potency of the name. One who is tuned with the Lord, he is seeing the Lord everywhere in all sounds. Madhvacharya says, even twittering of the birds is the holy name of the Lord. So if some Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra, one sees Krishna's sounds and Krishna's names everywhere. So why not? Thank you. Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Your taste for chanting comes of inattentive chanting. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Yeah. Yes. 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 We have to work on both. You have to work on both. It is a dichotomy, but we have to work on both. First thing is offending Vaishnavas. That's one of the first and the primary and the foremost. You've heard many devotees say, when we started our Krishna consciousness, we were in bliss. After coming to 16 rounds, we lost the bliss. Why? Because after we become a devotee, only we start offending. So before becoming a devotee, it was new for us. So we have yearning for Krishna, and Krishna gives us a taste. Okay, here you go, little taste. But once we come in, because we are dealing with devotees, we start blaspheming. So we have to work on that. We should not blaspheme the devotees. We should not even in the mind. Always take a humble stand. Nothing matters actually. Our position, our capacity, nothing matters. Only what matters is my connection to the devotees and their service and their mercy. If one takes this Trinadapi Sunichena mentality, it's difficult, but this is where we have to work to. And the second thing is inattentive chanting. We cannot be perfect in our attention to chanting. What is told to us is the sincere efforts to make attentive chanting. That's the point. If somebody is sincerely trying to be attentive, then Krishna sees the sincerity, not the perfection. That's the only. So somebody thinks like for me, chanting in the temple, I can be sincere. I don't trust my mind. So chanting with the devotees, my vicious mind is somehow tamed. So chanting in the temple saves me. So sincerity comes because I'm forced to be sincere. So like that, if we put some sankalpa around and take the help of devotees around us, then Krishna will see the sincerity and give us the sincerity will award us Shuddhanam. Shuddhanam cannot be obtained by sadhana. Shuddhanam does not come by my effort. Shuddhanam is awarded by the Lord. Because Nam is again Bhinnatvam. It is not separate from Krishna. So I cannot obtain Krishna by my efforts. It has to be provided by the Lord and the Acharyas. So when Krishna sees the sincerity, then he instills that Shuddhanam in us, the attachment to the Shuddhanam. That's just my little understanding, Prabhuji. Thank you. Yes.
It was revealed in his heart
Yes.
that Yagna should be performed. So I was wondering, what is the source of that? Who spoke to him, or can we understand that Krishna in the heart is revealing that knowledge, his intuition, and why specific Yagna in that case? If it's Krishna against Yagna, it's because the authorized process for
Mm-hmm.
So, what is it? How we can understand that?
Okay. The Krite Athyayato Vishnu Dvapare Paricharyayam, that verse, and Kalau Tadhari Hari Kirtanat, it's not that in Satya Yuga people did not do Hari Kirtan. And it is not that in Satya Yuga people did not do Yagna. Yagna was always there. Yagna was there from the beginning of the millennium. But the potency of certain processes becomes prominent in certain yuga. So Pururava was trained in the yagnic processes because he's a king. He will be trained. He just, because the millennium transformed, it came back to him as an intuition to say, okay, the millennium has transformed. I will use this method to obtain Urvashi. He knew the method. It's just that it came back to him to be applied in this yuga. Came back to him in the sense, it is an intuition to now use this method to obtain Urvashi. Yagna was always there as a process. It's not that Yagna got invented in Treta Yuga. It is just effective in Treta Yuga. Yeah. Yeah. Revealed in the sense it is his intuition, because he was trained. Obviously, he will be trained because he's a king in his Gurukula. But he will now think, oh, now I have to do the Yagna, because I know these methods have been taught to me, so I'll use this to achieve Urvashi now.
I was also trying to understand it. Okay, it was revealed his heart means intuition.
Yes.
So besides of his difficulty trying to control his senses, he was able to hear.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It made me appreciate more Pururava.
Yes. Actually, we'll see it in the 11th canto. That's why I was saying Pururava is in this predicament only because of his prarabdha. He is not by nature a very vicious person or a lusty person. It's his prarabdha vasha. Because of his prarabdha karma, he's forced because of his chanchala himana Krishna pramati balavadridam. Sometimes even unwillingly somebody gets forced because of his prarabdha karma. Therefore, the point Bhagavatam is trying to say, until he comes to the point of surrendering to the Lord, his prarabdha does not get subdued or get destroyed. So this is to prove, though Pururava had these capabilities, he was dragged by Trigunatmika forces because he has not surrendered to, he's not come to the point of surrender to the Lord. So that is why the Vyasadeva is creating these instances for us to realize that Yagna also will not save him.
In that way also made me appreciate how Krishna's hands is there, because he knows the character of Pururava.
Yes.
Mixed devotee character.
Yes.
So his Krishna's hands, giving him methods, ways, surrendering his path,
Yep.
because knowing his desire,
Yep.
mix of desires,
Yes.
being able to hear the words of that.
Correct. Yes.
Even practicing devotees, sometimes we are recognizing for our mind that
Yes.
Krishna is talking.
Yes.
Talk about intuition, require a lot of purity in heart.
Yes.
Following that
Yes.
certainty.
Yes. There's always two people inside us, the good and the bad, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj says. So that is also true in his case. In fact, if you see Hiranyakashipu, he preaches philosophy of Sankhya to his mother, that when Hiranyaksha was killed, it is said that is because it is not the Asura who is preaching, but it is another Jiva who is there who is Vijaya there, Jaya and Vijaya, who speaks about philosophy. So like that. So in this case of Pururava, of course, he has some purity, which will pan out in the later cantos also.
In the beginning also you mentioned about the living entity, the knowledge, because why to understand the conditioning of mind, and the knowledge to the awareness of their identity. Because the living entity by nature is Satchit Ananda.
Yes.
He has knowledge already.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but what kind of knowledge? So the main conditioning is the valuing identification, false understanding of it.
Yes.
Because you mentioned about understanding or having the knowledge of being serving of God,
Yes.
and being connecting and then the light.
Yes.
I like that example.
Yeah.
The light and that connection, but it's already a knowledge there.
Yes.
And so much because of the false identification that
Yeah.
knowledge is called.
Generally, a jiva, by his inherent nature, is knowledgeable that he is not this body. But he's not this body. We all see it every day. When we go to deep sleep, we are not aware of our body. We are not aware even of our mind. There are no dreams as well. So I don't know that I am Hanuman Das. I don't know I'm in Melbourne. My whole body is numb in deep sleep when I go to deep sleep. So this state of consciousness where I alone exist, not my body, nor my mind, nor my intelligence, this awareness the jiva has in every day when he goes to sleep. But he does not have, okay, then who's putting me to sleep? Why am I not being aware of this state when I'm awake? So what is forcing me? When he asks those questions to say, oh, therefore, because there is someone superior to you controlling. Who is that? Maya. Then who controls Maya? Is she superior? No, there's someone else controls. So this inquiry finally will lead to the source of everything, that is Krishna. So this only can be understood by scriptures. That's why Krishna creates the Vedas. So his Satchidanand, his internal existence he's aware of, but he's not aware of the source of his existence, that is Krishna. That has to be told by the mother. Who is your father? Only has to be told by the mother. The son will not know. And that mother is the Vedas. Veda Mata, that mother is the Vedas or the scriptures. That will say, here is the Lord, here is your father. And then we become aware of Krishna. That is what the Acharyas do. That is the knowledge which he is exposed to by the scriptures. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Grantraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.